ॐ श्रीकृष्ण शरणं मम गोपिका जीवनस्मरणं गोविन्द गोविन्द सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। शुक्लांभरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। नमो नमः सद्गुरुभ्यः सद्गुरुभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो नमः सद्गुरुभ्यः सद्गुरुभ्यो नमो नमः। सच्चिदानन्दरूपाय विश्वोत्पत्त्यादिहेतवे तापत्रय विनाशाय श्रीकृष्णाय वयं नुमः। यं प्रव्रजन्तमनुपेतमपेतकृत्यं द्वैपायनो विरहकातर आजुहाव पुत्रेति तन्मयतया तरवोऽभिनेदुः तं सर्वभूतहृदयं मुनिमानतोऽस्मि। यस्वानुभावमखिल श्रुतिसारमेकम् अध्यात्मदीपम् अतितितीर्षतां तमोऽन्धं संसारिणां करुणयाः पुराणगुह्यं तं व्याससूनुमुपयामि गुरुं मुनीनां। योगीन्द्राय नमस्तस्मै शुकाय ब्रह्मरूपिणे संसारसर्पदष्टं यो विष्णुरातममुमुचते। कालव्यालमुखग्रास त्रासनिर्नाशहेतवे श्रीमद्भागवतं शास्त्रं कलौकीरेण भाषितम्। एतस्मादपरं किञ्चित् मनःशुद्ध्यै न विद्यते। जन्मान्तरे भवेत् पुण्यं तदा भागवतं लभेत्। ज्ञानवैराग्यसम्पूर्णान् हरिभक्तिपरायणान् पूर्वाचार्यातहं वन्दे सम्प्रदायप्रवर्तकान्। भगवन्नाम साम्राज्य लक्ष्मी सर्वस्व विग्रहं श्रीमद्बोधेन्द्र योगीन्द्र देशिकेन्द्रम् उपास्महे। कलिकालोचितं धर्मं नाम संकीर्तनात्मकं निर्णेतुम् अवतीर्णं तं प्रेमिकं सद्गुरुं भजे। हरे रामेति कृष्णेति नाम संकीर्तनं सदा लोकक्षेमाय कुर्वन्तं प्रेमिकं सद्गुरुं भजे। जन्माद्यस्य यतोऽन्वयात् इतरतश्चार्तेष्वभिज्ञस्वराट् तेने ब्रह्महृदाय आदिकवये मुह्यन्ति यत्सूरयः। तेजो वारिमृदां यथा विनिमयो यत्र त्रिसर्गो मृषा धाम्ना स्वेन सदा निरस्तकुहकं सत्यं परं धीमहि। धर्मः प्रोज्झितकैतवोऽत्र परमो निर्मत्सराणां सतां वेद्यं वास्तवमत्र वस्तु शिवदं तापत्रयोन्मूलनम्। श्रीमद्भागवते महामुनिकृते किं वा परैरीश्वरः सद्यो हृद्यवरुध्यतेऽत्र कृतिभिः शुश्रूषिभिस्तत्क्षणात्। निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलं शुकमुखात् अमृतद्रवसंयुतं पिबत भागवतं रसमालयं मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। श्रीमद्भागवताख्योऽयं प्रत्यक्षः कृष्ण एव हि स्वीकृतोऽसि मया नाथ मुख्यर्थं भवसागरे। मनोरथो मदीयोऽयं सफलः सर्वदा त्वया निर्विघ्नेनैव कर्तव्यो दासोऽहं तव केशव। श्रीहरये नमः श्रीहरये नमः श्रीहरये नमः। गोपिका जीवनस्मरणं गोविन्द गोविन्द सद्गुरुनाथ महाराज की जय। Welcome everyone. Okay, so we'll do a review of 3.1. I think we've done about 28 stanzas, so we'll do about 14 each. So Shobha Ninga ஒரு half பண்றீங்களா, and then Srividya Ramesh on. Srividya Ninga, you can do the other half.
Yes. इति श्रीमद्भागवते तृतीय स्कन्धः अध प्रथमोऽध्यायः। श्रीसुक उवाच एवमेव पुरा पृष्टो मैत्रेयो भगवान् किल क्षत्रावनं प्रविष्टेन त्यक्त्वा स्वगृहं मृत्युमद् यद्वा अयं मन्दकृद्वो भगवान् अखिलेश्वरः पौतवेन्द्रगृहं हित्वा प्रविवेशात्मसात्कृतं
The first line, Akhileshwarah. I think we said Bhagavan Akhileshwarah.
Bhagavan first line
Bhagavan Akhileshwarah.
Maitreyo Bhagavan kila nada mudrike note bookle.
இல்ல மந்திர கிருத்வோ அதுக்கப்புறம் after that second
Oh, sure. Third line. Okay, sure. Bhagavan Akileshwarah. Thank you. I got it. राजोवाच कुत्र क्षत्तुर्भगवता मैत्रेयेण ससङ्गमः कदा वा सह संवादः एतद्वर्णयनः प्रभो न ह्यल्पार्थोदयस्तस्य विदुरस्यामलात्मनः तस्मिन् वरीयसि प्रश्नः साधुवादो बभ्रुहम् इतः सूत उवाच स एवं ऋषिवर्योऽयं पृष्टो राज्ञा परीक्षिता प्रत्याहतं सुबहुवित् प्रत्याहतं सुबहुवित् प्रीतात्मा श्रूयतामिति श्रीशुक उवाच यदा तु राजा स्वसुतान् साधून् पुष्णन् धर्मेण विनष्टदृष्टिः भ्रातुर्यविष्टस्य सुतान् विबन्धून् प्रवेश्य साक्षा भवने ददाह
last word लाक्षा
भवने तताह यदा सभायां कुरुदेवदेव्याः केशाभिमर्शं सुतकर्मगर्ह्यं न वारायमास नृप स्नुषायाः स्वाश्रैर्हरन्त्या कुचकुङ्कुमानि द्यूते त्वधर्मेण जितस्य साधोः सत्यावलम्बस्य वनागतस्य नयाचदो तास्तमयेन दायं तमोजुष्टाणो यतजात शत्रोः यथा च पार्थ बृहदसभायां जगत्कुरुर्यानि जगाद कृष्णः न तानि पुंसाम् अमृतायनानि राजोरुमेने क्षतपुण्य लेशः यदो बहुदो भवनं प्रविष्टो मन्त्राय पृष्ट किल पूर्वजेन अतः तन्मन्त्र दृशाम्बरीयान् यन्मन्त्रिणो वैदुरिकं वदन्ति अजातक्षत्रो प्रतियच्छदायं तिदीक्षतो विषहं तवागः सहानुजो यत्र मृगोदराहिः श्वशन्रुषा यत्वमलं बिभेषि पार्तां सुदेवो भगवान् मुकुन्दो गृहीतवान् स क्षितिदेवदेवः आस्तेव पुर्यां यदुदेवदेवो विनिर्जिदाशेष नृदेवदेवः
second line la second आस्ते स्वपुर्याम्
आस्ते स्वपुर्यां यदुदेवदेवो sorry I mistake பண்ணிருப்பேன்
स्वपुर्याम् word that's all yeah
okay स एष दोष पुरुष विडास्ते गृहान् प्रविष्टो यमपत्यमद्य पुष्णासि गृह्णात् विमुखो गदश्रीः दजाश्वशैवं कुलकौशलाय इत्यूचि वांस्तत्र सुयोधनेन प्रवृत्तगोबस्फुरिदादरेण असत्कृत बृहणीयशीलः क्षत्तासकर्णानुजलौ जसौबलेन
yeah karnanuj saubalena you can break it that way
क्षत्तासकर्णान् अजशौबलेन
कर्णानुज saubalena
yeah.
You can stop there, yeah.
Thank you.
कयेन मात्रोपजुहाव जिह्मं दास्यासुतं यद्बलि नैव पुष्टः तस्मिन् प्रतीपः परकृत्य आस्ते निर्वास्यतामाशु पुरच्छवसानः
Chwa is one word, one letter, Mari.
Okay.
So, Purachwasanah.
Rajesh, the first line, Matroba or Matroba?
Matroba.
Yeah, I heard Matroba.
Okay.
Rajesh, and the first line is called what? Jigmam. What word is that? Johava?
Jihmam.
Jihmam. Ma.
Oh, ma. Okay, Jihmam. Okay, thanks.
स इत्थमत्युल्बणकर्णबाणैः भ्रातुः पुरो मर्मसुताडितोऽपि स्वयं धनुर्द्वारि निधाय मायां गतव्यतो यादुरुमानयानः स निर्गतः कौरव पुण्यलब्धो गजाह्वया तीर्थपदः पदानि अन्वाक्रमत्पुण्यचिकीर्षयोर्भ्यां स्वधिष्ठितो यानि सहस्रमूर्तिः पुरेषु पुण्योपवनाद्रि कुञ्जेषु अपङ्गतो येषु सरित्सरस्सु अनन्तलिङ्गैः समलङ्कृतेषु चचार तीर्थायतनेष्वनन्यः गां पर्यटनमेध्यविविक्तवृत्तिः सदा प्लुतोत्तशयनोऽवधूतः अलक्षितस्वैरवधूतवेषो व्रतानि चेरे हरितोषणानि इत्थं व्रजन् भारतमेव वर्षं कालेन यावत् गतवान् प्रभासं तावच्छशास क्षितिमेक चक्राम् एकात्पत्रामजितेन पार्थः
एकात and the last word ekatapatram
एकात ओके तत्रात् शुश्राव सुहृद्विनिष्टिं वनं यथा वेणुज वह्नि सह संश्रयं संस्पर्धया दत्तमथानुशोचन् सरस्वतीं प्रत्यगियाय तूष्णीं
first line just before the comma suhrit vinashtim, not nishtim, nashtim.
Okay, sorry, vinashtim. Okay. तस्यां त्रितस्योशनसो मनोश्च पृतो रसितस्य वायोः तीर्थं सुदासस्य गवां गुहस्य यच्छ्रद्ध देवस्य स असीशेवे
Okay. Shra sound. Shraddha devasya sa atishewe.
Shradha.
Ir sound is coming. Shraddha.
Okay. Shraddha devasya sa asasisheve. Okay. Asisheve. अन्यानि चेह द्विजदेवदेवैः कृतानि नानानि यतनानि विष्णोः प्रत्यङ्मुख्याङ्गितमन्दिराणि यद्दर्शनात् कृष्णमनुस्मरन्ति.
For second line, first word, pratyanga. The ing and then a ga.
Tappa chodna, pratyangan chodna.
Pratyang, you said it's pratyanga.
Ga, okay. Tatastvati व्रज्य सुराष्ट्रमृद्धं सौवीरमत्यानकुरुचाङ्गलांश्च कालेन तावद्यमुनामुपेत्य तत्रोद्भवं भगवतं ददर्श स वासुदेवानुचरं प्रशान्तं बृहस्पतेः प्राक्तनयं प्रतीतम् आलिङ्ग्य गाढं प्रणयेन भद्रं स्वानामपृच्छत् भगवत्प्रजानां कच्चित् पुराणौ पुरुषौ वृत्त्येह किलावतीर्णौ आसात् ऊर्व्याः कुशलं विधाय कृतक्षणौ कुशलं शूरगेः कच्चित् कुरूणां परमः सुहृन्नो भामस्य आस्ते सुखमङ्गशौरिः यो वै स्वश्रूणां पितृवत् दधाति वरान् वदान्यो वरतर्पणेन कच्चिद्वरुताधिपतिर्यदूनां प्रद्युम्न आस्ते सुखमङ्गवीरः यं रुक्मिणी भगवतोऽभिलेभे आराध्य विप्रान् स्मरमादिसर्गे.
Yeah, can we stop there? Okay, so we'll continue from 29. Like, I think in terms of the meaning, I think some of this, like we said, up to this point, what was happening was Vidura, the conversation, the topic changes to Vidura right now, and how Vidura had left everything because of all the atrocities that was happening, and then he was going on a Tirth Yatra. He goes to Prabhasa Kshetram and all that. Finally, on the banks of Yamuna, he then bumps into Uddhava. And when he meets Uddhava, he then starts asking about all of these people. So pretty much the rest of the chapter, each stanza is about one person that he's asking. And of course, in typical Bhagavatam style, they talk a lot about that one person, about details of that person. So we won't get into that level. I'll just tell you each stanza, who is he talking about, right? But he's really asking questions to Uddhava. Vidura is asking Uddhava a question of how is this person doing? How is Krishna doing? How is Pradyumna doing? How is Aniruddha doing? Right? Asking about every person. That's pretty much the rest of the chapter. Okay. So let's just see who I had today. Sriram, you can be a student. And then
Rajesh.
I thought I had marked and kept. Anandji, you can be student. We'll start from 29. Kachit sukham satvata vrishni bhoja, put a plus. Dasharha kanam, that's one word. Dasharha kanam adipas sa aste. So that line is together. Yamabhya shinchat chata patra netro, comma. Nripasanasham parihritya durat. Okay, so here he's talking about, previous one in 28, he was asking about Pradyumna, right, who was, the Cupid or Kama in his previous life. Here he's asking about Ugrasena. He's saying the Ugrasena, who was the king, who for a long time, Kamsa had thrown him out of the kingdom and all that. Finally, Krishna established him. So how is Ugrasena doing? Kachit sukham satvata vrishni bhoja dasharhakanam adipassa aste yamabhya shincha chatapatra netro nripasanasham parihritya dhurat.
Anand, நீங்க போங்க.
Okay. Kachit sukham satvata vrishni bhoja dasharhakanam adipassa aste yamabhya shincha patra netro Nrabhasanasham parihritya durat Kachisukham satvada vishni bhoja dasharha karna madibasa aste yamabhishinchat patranetro Nrabhasanasham parihritya durat.
Kachitsugam satvada vrishni bhoja dasarha anam adibas haste yamabhya shinchaschata patranetro nirbasanasam parihritya durat.
A second line, the netro kapram comma. Okay, chatapatra netro comma and then.
Okay. Kachitsugam satvada vrishni bhoja dasarha anam adibas haste yamapya shinchaschata patranetro nirbasanasam parihritya durat.
Kachid dhare, it is hare, but that becomes dha there. So kachid dhare saumya sutas sadriksha, comma. Aste grani rathinam sadhu sambaha asuta yam jambavati bratadya, comma. Devam guham yombhikaya dhritogre. So he's asking about, the Samba, Samba, who is born to Krishna and Jambavati, who is an incarnation of Lord Muruga. So he says he was previously incarnated as Kartikeya in the womb of, Lord Shiva, Shiva and Parvati, of course. And later on, he is now born as Samba to Krishna and Jambavati. So how is Samba doing? Kachindhare saumya sutas sadriksha aste grani ratinam sadhu sambah asutayam jambavati vratadya devam guham yombhikaya dhritogre.
Kachidhare saumya sutas sadriksha aste grani ratinam sadhu sambah asutayam jambavati vratadya devam guho yombhikaya dhritogre. Kachidhare saumya sudas sadrisha aste granidradinam sadhu sambah asudayam jambavadi vradadhya devanguham yombigaya dradogre.
Kachitare saumya sudas satrushu आस्ते क्रनिरदीनां साधु साम्बः असूदयं जाम्बवति व्रताट्यो देवं गुहां योऽम्बिकया त्रुदोक्रे.
The first line, just before the comma, sadriksha, and the word.
Okay.
Okay, and then the second line, bratadya. I think you said bratadyo, bratadya.
Okay. Kachitare saumya sudasa triksha. Okay. Kachitare saumya sudasa triksha aste kraniradinam sadhu sambah asudayam jambavadi vradatyo devam guham yombikayat rudakre.
I think again you're saying bratadyo, you are saying in the second line, like just before the comma, it's bratadya.
Asudayam jambavadi vradatya.
Yeah, correct. Kshemam ta kachit yuyudhana. You can break that way. Kachit yuyudhana aste, comma, yah Phalgunalabdha Dhanu Rahasyah. Next word is pretty much is a long word there. Lebhenjasa Dhokshaja. Up to that is one word. Sevayaiva, comma. Gatim Tadiyam Yatibhir Dhurapam. So he's asking about a person called Yuyudhana, who is called another character who comes, who gets all the information from Phalguna, from Arjuna. So he's a great warrior, one of the supporters of Krishna. क्षेमं स कच्चित् युयुधान आस्ते यः फाल्गुणालब्धधनुरहस्यः लेभेञ्च साधोक्षज सेवयैव गतिं तदीयां यतिभिर्दुरापाम्.
क्षेमं स गच्छद्युधान आस्ते या फाल्गुनालब्धधनुरहस्यः लेभेज्ञसाधोक्षज सेवयैव गतिं तदीयां यदि वर्धुरापाम्. क्षेमं स गच्छद्युधान आस्ते या फाल्गुनालब्धधनुरहस्यः लेभेज्ञसाधोक्षज सेवयैव गतिं तदीयां यदि वर्धुरापाम्.
See, the first line after the comma, the first word is yah. You're saying ya, I heard. It's yah Phalgunalabdha.
Yah Phalgunalabdha.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Raj.
Kshemam sa kachit yudhana aste yeh Phalgunalabdhana tanurahasyah lebing jasadho shaksha sevayaiva kadim tadiyam adibir durabam. And the word ரொம்ப பெருசா இருக்கு ராஜேஷ். எப்படி
அது வந்து see, it's lebe anjasa akshod adokshaj. Okay, three words, but it's all joined, so you cannot separate it. So up to that adokshaj, you have to say it together. Lebe anjasa adokshaj.
Okay. Kshemam sa kachit yudhana aste ekvalkunallaptana tanurahasyah lebingya sadokcha sevayaiva kadim tadiyam yadibirdurabam.
Kachit bhudas swastyanamiva aste, comma, shvaphalka putro bhagavat prapannah yah Krishna Padankita Marga Pamsushu. Because we are going to put a comma there, that ish and va will become a shu first. So Pamsushu, short u, comma. The next word will start with the a. Acheshtata Prema Vibhinna Dairyaha. He's asking about Akrura. So one of the great personalities who we are going to see. For those of you who remember, Dashakam 73, when Akrura goes to Vrindavan to bring Krishna over to Mathura, right? And then he, of course, a big devotee of Krishna as well. So he's asking about Akrura. Kachit bhudaswastyanamiva aste shvapalka putro bhagavat prapannah yah Krishna padankita margapam sushu acheshtata prema vibhinna dhairyaha.
अच्छद्भुतस्वस्त्यनमीव आस्ते शफल्कपुत्रो भगवत्प्रपन्नः यकृष्णपादाङ्कितमार्गपांसुषु अचेष्टतप्रेमविभिन्नधैर्यः. कच्चिद्भुतस्वस्त्यनमीव आस्ते शफल्कपुत्रो भगवत्प्रपन्नः यकृष्णपादाङ्कितमार्गपांसुषु अचेष्टद प्रेम विभिन्न धैर्यः
कच्चित् बुधः स्वस्त्यनमीव आस्ते स्वपल्कपुत्रो भगवत्प्रपन्नः यः कृष्णपादाङ्गितमार्गवांसुः अशेष्टद प्रेम विभिन्नधैर्यः कच्चित् बुधः स्वस्त्यनमीव आस्ते स्वपल्कपुत्रो भगवत्प्रपन्नः यः कृष्णपादाङ्गितमार्गवांसुः अशेष्टद प्रेम विभिन्नधैर्यः.
On the second line, the palm su shu, and the shu, I'm not able to hear it clearly. Palm su shu.
यः कृष्णपादाङ्गितमार्गवांसुः right?
No, palm su shu.
Okay. Okay, Suresh. Okay.
And stuff. Yeah. So here it's telling that Akrura who rolled in the mud, which was the dust which comes from Krishna's feet. So if you remember Dashakam 73, you can go back and check. There's a stanza which comes there, which says when Akrura comes to Vrindavan to pick Krishna, he's really looking forward. He's thinking about how is Krishna going to think about me? Is he going to welcome me? Is he going to like me? Is he not going to like me? And all that. And the moment he steps into Vrindavan, he feels a state of ecstasy and he first rolls in the mud of Vrindavan, saying, this is the sand, this is the dust which has come from Krishna's feet. So he's saying that Akrura who rolled in the mud of Vrindavan, where Krishna's feet has walked, how is he doing? Kachit Chivam Devaka Bhoja Putriya, Vishnu Prajaya Iva Devamatuhu Yavai Swagarbena Dadhara Devam Trayi, Trayi Yatha Yajna Vithanam Artham. If you want to break this thing, Vithanam Artham. So asking about Devaki, from whose womb, Krishna was born, how is Devaki is doing. Yeah. Kacchichivam Devaka Bhoja Putriya Vishnu Prajaya Iva Deva Matuhu Yavai Swagarbhena Dadhara Devam Trayi Yata Yajna Vithanam Artham.
कच्चिच्छिवं देवकभोज्यपुत्रया विष्णुप्रजाया इव देवमातुः या वै स्वगर्भेण ददार देवं त्रयी यदा यज्ञविधानमर्धम् कच्चिच्छिवं देवकभोजपुत्र्या विष्णुप्रजाया इव देवमातुः या वै स्वगर्भेण ददार देवं त्रयी यदा यज्ञविधानमर्धम्
कच्चिच्छिवं देवकभोजपुत्र्या विष्णुप्रजाय इव देवमातुः या वै स्वगर्भेण ददार देवं त्रयी यदा यज्ञविधानमर्धम् कच्चिच्छिवं देवकभोजपुत्र्या विष्णुप्रजाया इव देवमातुः या वै स्वगर्भेण ददार देवं त्रयी यदा यज्ञविधानमर्धम्.
Rajesh, ஒரே ஒரு கேள்வி இதுல வந்து the order, right? He's asking about Mary's people. Is there any significance in, because Devaki வந்து கொஞ்சம் நிறைய பேர் கேட்டதுக்கு அப்புறம் தான் கேக்குறார் அதுல.
I mean, I don't know. There's really no sequence because he asks about Samba upfront. Okay. He then asks about, he starts with Krishna, of course, and Vasudeva, right? But then he's asking about Devaki later. Pradyumna pati kekra. Then he goes to Ugrasena.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I can't figure out a sequence because next is in this stanza, number 34, he's actually asking about Aniruddha, who is the grandson of Krishna.
Yeah, I know.
So I don't know what sequence he's asking in that,
Okay, thank you.
Apisvidhaste Bhagavan Sukham Vo, yes, Satvatam Kama Dugoniruddha. Dugo Aniruddha. So Kama Dugo Niruddha. Yamamananti Smaha Shabda Yonim, Manomayam Sattva Turiya Tattvam. So he's asking about Aniruddha, who is the grandson, the one who is born to Pradyumna, who then marries Rukmavati, who is the daughter of Rukmi, Rukmi is the brother of Rukmini. So his daughter he marries. So Apisvidhaste Bhagavan Sukham Vo Yasatvatam Kamadugo Niruddha Yamamananti Smaha Shabda Yonim Manomayam Sattvaturiya Tattvam.
अभिसिद्धास्ते भगवान् सुगम्भो यस्वात्वतां कामदुगो निरुद्धः यमामनन्ति स्म शब्दयोनिं मनोमयं सत्ततुरीयतत्त्वम् अभिसिद्धास्ते भगवान् सुगम्भो यास्वात्वतां कामदुगो निरुद्धः यमामनन्ति स्म शब्दयोनिं मनोमयं सत्ततुरीयतत्त्वम्.
Ananji, the first line after the comma is yes. You're saying yeah, I heard. Yes, Satvatam.
Yes, Swatatam.
Okay, I have a question. Third line. Yama mananti smahi nirke. Smahi. Smaha.
Yeah, Smaha Shabdayonim.
Okay.
I can double check. That's what I have.
Smaha. Pustakatla smaha nirke.
Smahi, I think, makes sense here.
Actually,
Okay.
Maha Eliye,
Smahi only makes
Smahi.
sense. I think book is wrong here because the her, I don't think it's a her. Yamamananti Smahi Shabdayonim.
அப்படிதான் இருக்கு.
Yeah. So I think whoever has her, just correct it to he. Smahi, short he.
I have her.
Sorry, go ahead.
अभिस्विदास्ते भगवान् सुगम्भो यस्सात्वदां कामतुगो निरुद्धः यमामनन्ति स्महि सप्तयोनिं मनोमयं सत्त्वदुरीयतत्त्वम् अभिस्विदास्ते भगवान् सुगम्भो यस्सात्वदां कामतुगो निरुद्धः यमामनन्ति स्महि सप्तयोनिं मनोमयं सत्त्वदुरीयतत्त्वम्
Apisvidanye cha nijatma daivam. We'll break at that ma, put a im, comma. Ananya vritya samanu vrataye hridika satyatmaja charu deshna, put a plus. Gadadayas swasti charanti saumya. So he's talking about other children, because Satyabhama's children who are there, Charusena, Gada, multiple other children and grandchildren, how are they all doing? Apesvidanye cha nijatmadhaivam ananya vritya samanuvrataye hridika satyatmaja charudeshna gadadaya swasti charanti saumya.
Abhisidhanye chat nijatmadaivam ananyavritya samanavvrataye hridika satyatmaja charudeshna gadadayascha swasti charanti saumya. Abhisidhanye cha nijatmadaivam ananyavritya samanavvrataye hridika satyatmaja charudeshna gadadayas swasti charanti saumya.
अभिस्विदन्यस निजात्मदैवम् अनन्यवृद्ध्या समनुवृदाये हृतीकसत्यात्मजसारुदेष्ण कदादयास् स्वस्ति सरन्ति सौम्य अभिस्विदन्यस निजात्मदैवम् अनन्यवृद्ध्या समनुवृदाये हृतीकसत्यात्मजसारुदेष्ण कदादय स्वस्ति सरन्ति सौम्य
Api swadorbyam vijayachyutabhyam, vijaya achyutabhyam, so vijayachyutabhyam, comma, dharmena dharmah paripati setum duryodhano tapyata, one word, duryodhano tapyata yat sabhayam, comma, samrajya lakshmiya vijayanu vritya. So he's saying, no, because he knows the battle is over, right? Because remember at Prabhasa Kshetra, he comes to know that the battle is over. So he's saying Yudhishthira, who was tormented by Duryodhana and all that. But is Yudhishthira now managing how is Yudhishthira doing? And is he managing the kingdom and all according to the right principles? Apiswadhorbhyam vijayachyutabhyam dharmena dharmah paripati setum duryodhano tapyata yat sabhayam samrajya lakshmiya vijayanu. Ananji, just do one time.
Okay. Abhiswadhorbhyam vijayachyutabhyam dharmena dharmah paripati sedum duryodhano tapyata yat sabhayam samrajya lakshmiya vijayanuvritya.
अभिस्वदोर्भ्यां विजयात्युदाभ्यां धर्मेण धर्मः परिपाति सेतुं दुर्योधनोदप्त्य यत्सभायां साम्राज्यलक्ष्म्या विजयानुवृद्ध्या
किं वा कृतागेश्वगम. Up to that is one word. कृतागेश्वगम atyamarshi. If you want to break at that or you can say it together as well. कृतागेश्वगम atyamarshi, comma. भीमो हि वद्धीर्घ तमं व्यमुञ्चत् यस्यांग्रि पातं रणभूर्नसेहे, comma, margam gadayash charato vichitram. So he says, like, ask about Bhima. He's saying that, Bhima, who is extremely angry because Bhima was holding so much anger to fight against the Kauravas, So even when Bhima comes, the people cannot, the entire battlefield cannot bear him. So how is he doing? Is he doing well? किं वा कृताघेष्वगमत्यमर्षि भीमो हि बद्धीर्गतमं व्यमुञ्चत् यस्याग्रिपातं रणभूर्नसेः मार्गं गदायाश्चरतो विचित्रम्.
Rajeshji, this Atyamarshi means that's also Bhima's Bhima. They are referring to Bhima. He's in Mahabharata. He always referred as Atyamarshi.
Yeah, Atyamarshi in general, it's like it's an adjective to say somebody who cannot be conquered.
Okay.
I mean, it could be used for anybody, but you're right. It is, so it's in this case, it is saying Bhima was not conquerable.
Oh, okay.
That way.
किं वा कृताघेषखमत्यमर्षि भीमो हि वद्धीर्घमतमं व्यमुञ्चत् यस्याङ्घ्रिपादं रणभूर्नसेः मार्गं गदायश्चरदो विचित्रम्.
किं वा कृतैकेष्वकम् अद्यमर्षि भीमो हि वद्धीर्घतमं व्यमुञ्चत् यस्याङ्घ्रिपातं रणपूर्णसेः मार्गं गदायाश्चरतो विचित्रम्.
And the first line just before the comma, the word कृताघेष्वघम.
किं वा कृताकेष्वकम् अद्यमर्षि.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. कच्चित् यशोधा रथ यूतपानां, comma, गांडीव धन्वो परतारि रास्ते. That's one word. Gandiva is one word. Dhanvo paratari raste. Alakshito yach chara kuta gudho, comma, maya kirato girishas tutosha. So here, he's then going and asking, about Arjuna, because one who holds Gandiva, right, who's famous among all the warriors, and who even conquered, who even on a battle with Shiva once, right? So that person who's very powerful, who's the owner of Gandiva, how is he doing? Kachit yashodharat yuthapānām Gandiva dhanvo paratāriraste alakshito yachcharakūta gūdho maya kirato girishastutosha.
कच्चित् यशोदारदयूधपानां गाण्डीव धन्नो परतारिरास्ते अलक्षितो यच्चरकूटगूढो मायागिरादो गिरिशस्तु तोष.
कच्चित् यशोदरदयूदपानां काण्डीव धन्वो परधारिरास्ते अलक्षितो यच्चरकूडकूडो माया किरातो गिरिसस्तु तोष.
Yamabutasvit. Okay, one word. Yamabutasvit tanayau pritayaha, comma, parthair vritau pakshmabhir akshiniva. If you want to break at that ra, pakshmabhir akshiniva remata uddhaya mride swariktam, comma, parat suparnabiva vajri vaktrat. So Tanayu are the two brothers, twin brothers, Nakula and Sahadeva, because asking about Yudhishthira, Bhima, Arjuna. Next is Nakula and Sahadeva, who are protected by their brothers. The top three brothers protect Nakula and Sahadeva. So how are they doing as well? Yamavutasvittanayau pritayaha parthair vritau pakshmabhirakshiniva remata uddhaya mridhe swariktam parat suparnaviva vajri vaktrat.
यमावुतस्तनयो प्रधायाः पार्थेर्वृदो पक्षभिरक्षिणीव रेमेद उद्दाय मृदे सरिग्धं Parat Suvarna Vajrik Vaktrat.
And the second line, first word, Re Mata.
Re Mada Uddhaya Mradeswariktham.
Yeah.
Thank you, Rajesh.
यमावुदस्विद्दनयौ प्रदायाः पार्दैर्वृतौ भक्ष्म तिरक्षिणव रेमात उद्दायामृतेश्वरिक्तं परात् सुवर्ण विववज्रिवक्त्रात्.
And just before the comma of the first line, Pruthayaha.
यमावुदस्विद्दनयौ प्रतायाः.
Pruthayaha.
Okay, प्रताय. Okay.
Prutaya. Aho Pruthapi Driyaterbhakarte, comma, Driyaterbhakarte, Rajarshi Varyena Binapi Tena, Yas Tveka Virodhirato, one word, Virodhirato Vijighe, comma, Danur Dvitiyah Kakubash Chatasraha. So this is talking about Pritha. Pritha is Kunti, right? Because so that's why it's Partha, right? Arjuna is called Partha because he's come from Pritha. So how is Pritha doing? Because she is, of course, she's managed all these kids without their father and all that stuff, and without her, nothing would have been possible. So she really helped them. So how is she doing? All these people are still alive, right, at this point, which is very surprising because Krishna has already left at this point, but all these people are still alive. Aho pratapi dhriyaterbhakarte राजर्षिवर्येण विनापिथेन यस्त्वेक वीरो धीरतो विजिह्ये धनुर्द्वितीयः ककुभश्चतस्रः.
अहो प्रधावी ध्रियतेर्भकर्ते राजर्षिवर्येण विनापितेन यस्तेक वीरो धीरतो विजिघ्ये धनुर्द्वितीयः ककुभश्चतस्रः.
अहो प्रधाभित्रियदीर्पकार्ते राजर्षिवर्येण विनापितेन यस्वेकवीरोतिरतो विजिह्ये धनुर्द्वितीयः ककुभश्चतस्रः.
I'll ask one question. How did they make the inference that all these people are still alive? Anyone remember?
Because in one of the previous adhyayam, didn't you say that Vidura asks all of them to go to the forest?
Correct. In Canto 1, when Vidura comes back after the Tirtha Yatra, remember he tells Dhritarashtra, why are you still eating Bhima's pindam? He'll ask that question, right? So when he comes at the time when Dhritarashtra and Gandhari all realize, what are we doing? And then they all end up going, right? And then only later, then Arjuna goes to Dwaraka and comes, and then all these people leave. So that conversation, so when Vidura finishes this Tirtha Yatra, all of it, he already knows all that is happening. So this is all happening. Of course, like we said in Bhagavatam, things happen in different sequences. But in timeline, this is happening, it's already happened. Then Vidura comes back. Then Vidura in the first canto meets with Dhritarashtra and all of those people and with Yudhishthira and everything. So they are all still alive at this point. So when he's actually asking all this, right? Where will you? Yeah. Saumyanushoshe tamadah patantam, bhratre paretaya vidudruheyah niryapito yena suhrut swapurya, aham swaputran samanu vratena. So he's talking about Dhritarashtra here, right? How is Dhritarashtra, who he drove me away, but how is he doing and all that stuff. Saumyanushoshe tamadah patantam Bhratre paretaya vidudruheyah niryapito yena suhrut swapurya aham swaputran samanuvratena.
Saumyanushoshe tamadapadantam bhratre paretaya vidudruheyah niryapito yena suhrut swapurya aham swaputran samanuvratena.
सौम्यानुसो से तमदः पदन्दं प्रात्रे परेदाय विदुद्रुहेयः निर्यापितो येन सुहृत्सुपर्या अहं सुपुत्रान् समनुव्रतेन.
Soham harer martya vidambanena, drisho nrinam chalayato vidhatuhu Nanyopalakshya padavim prasadat. There's a ich there. Because we are stopping there, it becomes a it there. So prasadat, comma, charami pashyan gata vismayotra. So he's finished asking about everybody, then he's just generally then summarizing, like I've traveled to all these places, without having been seen by anybody else, because we said, he just doesn't dress up. He doesn't want to be noticed. He was like an avaduta, right? He didn't want to be noticed by everyone. And, however, I'm just astonished at all the activities and everything. So how are these people doing? सोऽहं हरेर्मर्त्यविडम्बनेन दृशो नृणां चालयतो विधातुः नान्योपलक्ष्यः पदवीं प्रसादात् चरामि पश्यन् गतविस्मयोऽत्र
सोऽहं हरिर्मत्यविडम्बनेन दृशो नृणां चालयतो विदातुः नान्योपलक्ष्य पदवीं प्रसादात् चरामि पश्यन् गतविस्मयोऽत्र
सोऽहं हरेर्मर्त्यविडम्बनेन त्रिशो नृणानां सालयतो विधातुः नान्योपलक्ष्य पदवीं प्रसादातु चरामि पश्यन् कदविस्मयोऽत्रः.
And the second line, Sriram, and the pause, prasadat it.
Two போட்டிருக்கு off இத்தது.
The ich is there, and that is in Sanskrit, it has ich. That will become it. So prasadat. Okay.
Okay.
Nunam nripanam tri madhotpathanam, comma, mahim muhush chalayatam chamubihi vadhat prapannarthi jihirsha. So I'll say it again. First, you make one correction there. You will have like a pew, right? A pew, you will have it. So that you first remove and put a p. Okay. So vadhat prapannarthi jihirsha, comma. Next, the word will start with the u. Upaikshatagam Bhagavan Kuruna. Because we are pausing there, we are kind of breaking that sandhi rule, that's all. Nunam nripanam trimadotpathanam mahimuhushchalayatam chamubihi vadhat prapannarti jihirsha upaikshatagam Bhagavan Kurunam.
नूनं नृपाणां त्रिमदोत्पथानां महीं मुहुश्चालयतां चमूभिः वदात् प्रपन्नातिजिहीर्षयेषोऽपि उपेशदाघं भगवान् कुरूणाम्.
नूनं नृपाणां त्रिमुदोत्पदानां महीमुहुः समूभिः वदात् प्रपन्नार्ति जिहर्ष्ये सोभिः उभैक्षदागं भगवान् कुरूणाम्.
And the second line there, jihirsha.
Oh, वदात् प्रपन्नार्ति जिहीर्षयोसोभि.
Yeshopi.
Okay. Jihirsha-yosobi.
No, you're saying yo. Jihirsha-ye-shopi.
Oh, sorry. Jihirsha-yosobi. Right? Okay. Right.
Okay. Jihirsha-ye-shopi.
Sure.
Ajasya janmotpata nashanaya, comma, karmanya kartur grahanaya pumsam nanvanyata korhati deha yogam, comma, paro gunanamuta karma tantram. Ajasya janmotpatanashanaya karmanya karturgrahanaya pumsam nanvanyata korhati deha yogam paro gunanamuta karma tantram.
अजस्य जन्मोत्पतनाशनाय कर्मण्यकर्तुर्ग्रहणाय पुंसां नन्वन्यथा कोर्हति देहवियोगं परो गुणानामुदकर्मयतन्त्रम्.
अजस्य जन्मोत्पदनाशनाय कर्माण्यकर्तुर्ग्रहणाय पुंसां नन्वन्यता गोर्हति देहयोगं परो गुणानामुदकर्मतन्त्रम्.
Tasya prapannakhila lokha panam, that im will break it, put a im, ma will break it, put a im. Next word will start with a. Avastithanam anushasane sve अर्थाय जातस्य यजुष्वजस्य comma vartam sakhe kirtaya tirtha kirtehe. So he says, please, so just tell, talk about the glories of Krishna. So because he's asking about all these people and says, okay, now why don't you tell me how they are doing? And as you are saying, continue to talk more about Krishna also. I want to know more about Krishna, right? About his glories. तस्य प्रपन्ना किल लोकपानाम् अवस्थितानाम् अनुशासने स्वे अर्थाय जातस्य यजुष्वजस्य वार्तां सखे कीर्तयतीर्थकीर्तेः
तस्य प्रसन्ना किल लोकपानाम् अवस्थितानाम् अनुशासने स्वे अर्धाय जातस्य यदुषजस्य वार्तां सखे कीर्तयतीर्थकीर्तेः
तस्य प्रबन्नाखिल लोकपानाम् अवस्थितानाम् अनुशासने स्वे अर्धाय जातस्य यदुष्वजस्य वार्तां सखे कीर्त्य तीर्थकीर्तेः
कीर्तय तीर्थकीर्तेः
सखे कीर्तय तीर्थकीर्तेः
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां तृतीयस्कन्धे विदुरोद्धव संवादे प्रथमोऽध्यायः.
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां तृतीयस्कन्धे विदुरोद्धव संवादे प्रथमोऽध्यायः.
इति श्रीमद्भागवते महापुराणे पारमहंस्यां संहितायां तृतीयस्कन्धे विदुरोद्धव संवादे प्रथमोऽध्यायः.
Right, we'll switch and then we'll start with 3.2 today. So I'll just give a little bit of this 3.2 pretty much is like a Dashama Skandam kind of a summary, 3.2 and 3.3, because Vidura, when he starts talking, he cannot stop remembering Krishna, right? So he just talks about all the activities of Krishna in this, right? So anyway, so Vidura asked this question, Uddhava is answering. So Vidura asked that question. So Uddhava, when he's asked to talk about Krishna, he suddenly he's not able to answer because he's getting very anxious because Uddhava knows what has happened, right? So today we had this Goda Kalyanam where, Andal from the childhood, she's been in love with Ranganatha, right? But however, Uddhava is no different because it talks about how right from his when he was a small baby, when he was 5 years old, Uddhava's mother used to talk to him about this person called Krishna, who was in Gokulam, who was in Vrindavan, and what that Krishna does, right? So he used to hear Krishna stories right from when he was a small kid, right? And then he's continuously grown up, around Krishna. And when Krishna, of course, came to Mathura at the age of 10, Uddhava became his best friend. So right from when Krishna was at the age of 10 to the time Krishna departs, which is around 125 years, right? Uddhava has been with Krishna, right? He's the greatest of the devotees. So in Narayaniam, in that in the 96th chapter, when he's talking about the glories of Krishna, the glories of Lord, he says, Bhaktanam Uddhavastvam. He says, oh Lord Krishna, you are amongst the devotees, you are Uddhava. Because there's no other greater devotee to Krishna than Uddhava is. So Uddhava is that much of a devotee. So, when somebody like that comes and asks Uddhava, how is Krishna doing? Then Uddhava doesn't know how to answer that question, right? So at once, he closes his eyes and then he completely remains silent. His body comes to a still. He's just remembering Krishna and he gets into a state of ecstasy, just thinking about Krishna. And he was so absorbed in that, sometimes when you see people who are full of devotion, right? And at that time, when you look at them itself, you feel like, this person is just in that bliss state right now. Because their body becomes something different, they start crying, right? Tears are coming. So that's what Vidura is noticing when he asks this to Uddhava. There's tears coming through his eyes, and he's somehow in a very weird state, right? So he's completely immersed in it. So he's in that state for a really long time, and finally Uddhava then comes out because he's just remembering Krishna, right? And when Uddhava then starts talking, right, in the 7th stanza, he says to Vidura, the sun has set in this universe, he says, right? He says, because Krishna is like the sun for us. Because when Krishna was there was light all over the place. The moment Krishna goes, the light goes away, it becomes darkness, right? And he says, however, there are so many universes like we saw in this thing, right? So in some other universe, somewhere, maybe there's Krishna avataram happening. And when that Krishna avataram happening, that universe is lit right now. However, our universe in which we are, the sun is completely gone, right? This means he's saying Krishna has left, right? He's saying the sun is disappeared from our universe. And so this is now becoming very dark at this point. And he thinks about, the Yadavas, because he knows what has happened to the Yadavas. Remember the Yadava, and we'll see all this in the 11th skandam that it's going to come, right? More about Uddhava, we'll learn more about Uddhava once Krishna Avataram starts. But even in the 11th skandam, it talks about how the Yadavas fight amongst each other and all that stuff, right? So he talks about how these Yadavas did not realize that Krishna was amongst them, right? Although they were all experts in multiple fields, they just did not realize that Krishna as God was amongst them. And despite Krishna being there, all these people were fighting with each other. So he's kind of lamenting over it, saying it's just so unfortunate, right? And then he says, like at the end of the day, he talks a little bit about how, in this world, Krishna, of course, he comes here for people who do not know about the greatness of Krishna. He has departed the earth, because according to them, they have departed the earth. But he says for people who realize that just an incarnation, right? Krishna is still there. His eternal nature is always there. Like Krishna told the Gopikas, I don't have to be in person or near you for me to be thinking about me. So similarly, he says, you don't have, for those who are qualified spiritually, they don't have to worry. Krishna is still there. But for other people who don't know anything, Krishna has departed, right? And he says that this avataram, the pastimes, because Vidura is asking about the pastimes of Krishna just as an inquiry. He says the pastimes of Krishna is so wonderful that he says even the Lord Vishnu or Narayana in Vaikuntham praises these pastimes of Krishna. He says that's how great Krishna avataram is, right? All the pastimes of Krishna that is there. And he says and he talks about in one of the stanzas how when the Rajasuya Yajnam is happening, all of them are there, and that's where Shishupala Vadam and all happens, where they ask who should be respected, right? At the time, everybody looks at Krishna and says, how can Brahma ever make somebody who's more handsome and more prettier than Krishna is, right? So he talks about the greatness of Krishna, and he says that only the people of the Braja, of Gopikas, who there are different people related to Krishna differently, of course. So he says the people of Braja, where they also felt a lot of sorrow when Krishna left Vrindavan and all of that stuff, and they used to always think about him, So he talks about similar things that even we are now beginning to feel that way. And then
Where is Uddhava Geetam comes? Uddhava Geetam. Where is
Uddhava
Uddhava?
11th தான் வரும்.
Okay.
11th வரும். இது Uddhava is just remembering Krishna at this point. And then he's going to just think about all of that stuff. Uddhava Gita is what Krishna is preaching to Uddhava.
Okay.
And it's going to come in the 11th canto. So, in here, one WhatsApp video or something had come wrong time back, or a Facebook reel or something, I don't remember. When somebody says, why am I going through all these problems? So one person says, what do you mean problems? Think of Krishna. Krishna was born in a jail. The moment he was born in a jail, he was taken away from his parents. He then went and lived with, his adopted parents. Then right from the second month, from Putana, Trinavarta, all these asuras are coming with a single-minded intention of killing Krishna. Then eventually he had to leave those parents after 10 years, Yashoda and Nanda. Then he has to come to Devaki. He stays there for some time. Then he has to leave Mathura and go to Vrindavan, to Dwaraka, which is exactly what the Vidura is saying. He says, poor Krishna, he has come here to help all of us. He's the supreme Lord, but look at all the troubles that he had to go through. Just exactly what he's telling. He's saying, look at all the troubles that Krishna had to go through for us, right? He says, he had to leave his parents, and then, he then goes, Krishna later on goes tell Devaki and Vasudeva. Krishna apologizes to Devaki and Vasudeva, saying that, sorry, I had to put you all through so much torture. When you all were struggling so much, when Kamsa was troubling you so much, I was sitting in Vrindavan playing, right? Neither me nor Balarama could come and help you out. So that Krishna who goes and apologizes to his parents, who has gone through so many of these things, right? So that Krishna has left us. So it kind of comes to about 20. So I'll stop here today. So he's kind of reminiscing, about all of that stuff. And he says, even that Krishna is so good, I think in 19 or something, he'll say, or 19 or 20, He'll say, where even in the Rajasuya game, and Shishupala, who hated Krishna so much, even he got liberation. So how can someone be so magnanimous, right? And all the people in the Kurukshetra field, although they were getting the arrows from Arjuna, they got liberated too because they got a chance to see Krishna. Because when you're fighting against Arjuna, Krishna is standing in front of Arjuna, right? So you get to see Krishna. So they are also blessed that they saw Krishna. So he kind of goes and describes, all the, about Krishna. He's reminiscing about Krishna. Uddhava is. Okay, so we'll 332. Okay, so let's
So
start.
ராஜேஷி, இப்ப கிருஷ்ணரோட அவதாரத்துக்கு அப்புறம் வந்து அவர் இந்த சன்செட் அதெல்லாம் சொன்னேன் இல்லையா? So கலியுகம்ன்றது இட்ஸ் கைண்ட் ஆஃப் a யுகம் வேர் I don't want to call it after the sunset, but that's what it is, right? நம்ம இருக்கிற யுகம்.
Yeah. I mean, Kaliyugam started when Krishna left.
Yeah, so because he's saying, right, பெருமாளை போனதுனால the யுகம் வந்து becomes darker, so how?
But the one thing we have to be careful about is Perumal doesn't have to be there present as Krishna physically.
Correct. அதுதான் கலியுகத்துல he says, right, நாம சங்கீர்த்தனம், and he also gives விக்கிரக வடிவம் தான் வந்து people have to worship me சொல்லிட்டு தான் கிருஷ்ணரே he departs. அப்படிதானே வருது இல்லையா?
And then the Bhagavatam Mahatmyathil also we saw, right, where Krishna tells Uddhava, I am in Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
Because that is going to come later, right? When the conversation of the Bhagavatam is going to, I am in Bhagavatam, in Kali-yugam, right? So the point, what I'm carefully saying here is, just because Krishna is not there physically, don't assume that he is not there. But like Uddhava, if you spend 120 years of your life with somebody on a daily basis, and Uddhava was such a devotee that he used to dress up like Krishna. He used to be Krishna, right? So when the Gopikas saw when Uddhava goes to Vrindavan, they say, who is this guy who is exactly like Krishna? They could not differentiate Uddhava from Krishna. Like if somebody is like a pure Rajinikanth or an Elvis Presley fan in Las Vegas, they dress up exactly like Elvis, behave exactly like Elvis, right? So that's how Uddhava was. He was that much of a devotee. So for him, even though he has gotten this Uddhava Gita, he has gotten the supreme knowledge, and he knows Krishna doesn't have to be there physically, still missing the presence of Krishna is very disheartening to him. Okay, that's what we'll have to kind of take that.
Yeah, got it. Thank you.
All right, Revati, you can be a student first off. Sudha, Ninga, do you want to be a student?
Yes.
Okay. So, Shri Shuka Uvacha, iti Bhagavatah Prishtah, Kshatra Vartam Priyashrayam Prativaktum na Chotseha, Outkantyat Smariteshwarah. Shri Shukha Uvacha, iti Bhagavatah Prishtah Kshatra Vartam Priyashrayam Prativaktum na Chotseha Outkantyat Smariteshwarah.
Sri Shuka Uvacha, iti Bhagavatam Prishtah Kshatra Vartam Priyashrayam Prativaktum na Chotseha Outkantyat Smariteshwarah.
The Chotseha Kapra Revati we can pause.
Okay. Iti Sri Shuka Uvacha, iti Bhagavatam Prishtah Kshatra Vartam Priyashrayam Prativaktum na Chotseha Outkantyat Smariteshwarah.
Sri Shuka Uvacha, iti Bhagavata Prishtah Kshatra Vartam Priyashrayam Prativaktum na Chotseha Outkandyat Smariteshwarah. Sri Shuka Uvacha, iti Bhagavata Prishtah Kshatra Vartam Priyashrayam Prativaktum na Chotseha Outkandyat Smariteshwarah.
Yat Pancha Hayano Matra, Pratarashaya Yachitah Tannai Chadra Chayan, one word, Tannai Chadra Chayan Yasya, Saparyam Balalilaya. So Tatrai. So 1 second. Kannadi pote kannu seri theriya matingirudhu. Tatrai Chadra Chayan. Yah Panchahayano Matra Pratarashaya Yachitah Tatrai Chadra Chayan Yasya Saparyam Balalilaya.
Rajesh, Annai போட்டிருக்கே.
I was also doubtful. I first read it as Tan, then I was like, my glasses, I'm not able to see clearly. So It looks like tatrai or tannai. Tannai chadradanan. Okay. Okay.
यः पञ्चहायनो मात्रा प्रादरासाय याचितः तन्नैच्छत्रशयन् यस्य सपर्यां बाललीलया यः पञ्चहायनो मात्रा प्रादरासाय याचितः तन्नैच्छत्रशयन् यस्य स्पर्यां बाललीलया
Saparyam. Second line. Saparyam.
सपर्यां
यः पञ्चहायनो मात्रा प्रातराशाय याचितः तन्नैच्छत्रचयन् यस्य सपर्यां बाललीलया यः पञ्चहायनो मात्रा प्रातराशाय याचितः तन्नैच्छत्रचयन् यस्य सपर्यां बाललीलया
कथं सेवया तस्य कालेन जरसं गतः पृष्टो वार्तां प्रतिब्रूयात्. So you'll have we're going to break that word that in the Sanskrit is a the and a bha at the bottom, but you say प्रतिब्रूयात्, next word will start with the bha. Bhartuf padavanusmaran. सकथं सेवया तस्य कालेन जरसं गतः पृष्टो वार्तां प्रतिब्रूयात् भर्तुः पादावनुस्मरन्.
सकथं सेवया तस्य कालेन जरसं गतः पृष्टो वार्तां प्रति ब्रूयात् भर्तुः पादावनुस्मरन्.
The Bhartu and the Visarga becomes a F there, Revati. Bhartu
Bhartu. Okay. Sakatam sevaya tasya kalena jarasam gatah prishto vartam pradibhruyat bhartu padavanusmaran.
सकथं सेवया तस्य कालेन जरसं गतः पृष्टो वार्तां प्रतिभूयात् भर्तुः पादावनुस्मरन्.
Sudha, second and bruyat.
ब्रूयात्. ओके. सकथं सेवया तस्य कालेन जरसं गतः पृष्टो वार्तां स ब्रूयात् भर्तुः पादावनुस्मरन्.
Second time you said in the prati word I would to tell. Second time बोले.
ओ पृष्टो वार्तां प्रतिभूयात् भर्तुः पादावनुस्मरन्.
स मुहूर्तम abhut tushnim, you can break at that ma. Muhurtam abhut tushnim, krishnangri sudhaya brisham तीव्रेन भक्ति योगेन, निमग्नस साधु निर्वृतः. समुहूर्तमभूत् तूष्णीं कृष्णाङ्घ्रिसुदया भृशं तीव्रेन भक्ति योगेन निमग्नः साधु निर्वृतः.
स मुहूर्तम् अबुद्धूष्णीं कृष्णाङ्घ्रिसूतया प्रसं धीव्रेण भक्तियोगेन निमग्नः साधु निर्वृतः. समुहूर्तम् अबुद्धूष्णीं कृष्णाङ्घ्रिसूतया प्रसं धीव्रेण भक्तियोगेन निमग्नः साधु निर्वृतः.
समुहूर्तमभूत् तूष्णीं कृष्णाङ्घ्रिसुदया भृशं तीव्रेण भक्तियोगेन निमग्नः साधु निर्वृतः. समुहूर्तमभूत् तूष्णीं कृष्णाङ्घ्रिसुदया भृशं तीव्रेण भक्तियोगेन निमग्नः साधु निर्वृतः.
पुलकोद्भिन्न सर्वांगो, मुञ्चन् मीलत् दृशा शुचः पूर्णार्तो लक्षितस्तेन, स्नेह प्रसर संप्लुतः. पुलकोद्भिन्न सर्वांगो मुञ्चन् मीलदृशा शुचः पूर्णार्तो लक्षितस्तेन स्नेह प्रसर संप्लुतः.
पुलकोत्पिन्न सर्वांगो मुञ्जन् मीलदृशा शुचः पूर्णार्तो लक्षितस्तेन स्नेहप्रसर संप्लुतः. पुलकोत्पिन्न सर्वांगो मुञ्जन् मीलदृशा शुचः पूर्णार्तो लक्षितस्तेन स्नेहप्रसर संप्लुतः.
पुलकोद्भिन्न सर्वांगो मुञ्चन् मीलदृशा शुचः पूर्णातो लक्षितस्तेन स्नेहप्रसर संप्लुतः. पुलकोद्भिन्न सर्वांगो मुञ्चन् मीलदृशा शुचः पूर्णादो लक्षितस्तेन स्नेहप्रसरसम्प्लुतः
Shanakair Bhagavallokat. You'll have in Sanskrit, you'll have a two n with a nr there. So one of them becomes a it there. So Bhagavallokat, comma. Next word will remain as a nr. Nrilokam punaragatah. Vimrujya netre viduram, comma. Pratyahodhava utsmayan. Uddhava is the word coming there. Pratyahodhava utsmayan. शनकैर्भगवल्लोकात् नृलोकं पुनरागतः विमृज्य नेत्रे विदुरं प्रत्याहोद्धव उत्स्मयन्
स्तनकैः बहवल्लोकान् नृलोकं पुनरागतः विमृज्य नेत्रे विदुरं प्रत्याहोत्तव उत्स्मयन्.
But on the first line, because if you pause there, then that becomes a it. Lokat.
Lokat. Okay. शनकैः बहवल्लोकात् नृलोकं पुनरागतः विमृज्य नेत्रे विदुरं विमुज्य नेत्रे विदुरं प्रत्याहोत्व उत्स्मयन्.
शनकैर्भगवोल्लोकात् नृलोकं पुनरागतः विमृज्य नेत्रे विदुरं प्रत्याहोद्धव उत्स्मयन् शनकैर्भगवल्लोकात् नृलोकं पुनरागतः विनिमृज्य नेत्रे विदुरं प्रत्याहोद्धव उत्स्मयन्.
Second line, first word, vimrujya.
विमृज्य नेत्रे विदुरं प्रत्याहोद्धव उत्स्मयन्.
उद्धवो वाच कृष्ण द्युमनि निम्लोचे, comma, गीर्णेष्वजगरेणः, one word, गीर्णेष्वजगरेणः, किं नु नः कुशलं ब्रूयां, comma, गतश्रीषु गृहेष्वहम्. उद्धवो वाच कृष्णद्युमनि निम्लोचे गीर्णेष्वजगरेणः किं नु नः कुशलं ब्रूयां गतश्रीषु गृहेष्वहम्.
उद्धव उवाच कृष्णद्युम्मनि निम्लोचे कीर्णेष्वजहरेणः किं नु नः कुशलं ब्रूयां गतश्रीषु गृहेष्वहम्. उद्धव उवाच कृष्णद्युम्मनि निम्लोचे कीर्णेष्वजहरेणः किं नु नः कुशलं ब्रूयां गतश्रीषु गृहेष्वहम्.
उद्धव उवाच कृष्णद्युमनि निम्लोचे गीर्णेष्वजगरेणः किं नु नः कुशलं ब्रूयां गतश्रीषु गृहेष्वहम्. उद्धव उवाच कृष्णद्युमनि निम्लोचे गीर्णेष्वजगरेणः किं नु नः कुशलं ब्रूयां गतश्रीषु गृहेष्वहम्.
दुर्भगो बत लोकोऽयं, comma, यदवो नितरामपि ये संवसन्तो न विदुः. You put a visarga comma because you're pausing there. Next word on the harim, there is a ir that will go away. Harim meena ivodupam. दुर्भगो बत लोकोऽयं यदवो नितरामपि ये संवसन्तो न विदुः हरिं मीना इवोडुपम्.
दुर्भगोपतलोकोऽयं यतवो नितरामपि ये संवसन्नो न विदुः हरिं मीना इवोडुपम्.
ये संवसन्तो, second line le.
ये संवसन्तो, okay. दुर्भगोपतलोकोऽयं यतवो नितरामपि ये वसन्तो न विदुः हरिं मीना इवोडुपम्.
दुर्भगो बत लोकोऽयं यदवो नितरामपि ये संवसन्तो न विदुः हरिं मीना इवोडुपम्. दुर्भगो बत लोकोऽयं यदवो नितरामपि ये संवसन्तो न विदुः हरिं मीना इवोडुपम्.
इंगित ज्ञाः पुर प्रौढ़ा, comma, एका रामाश्च सात्वताः सात्वतां ऋषभं सर्वे, comma, भूतावासम् अमंसत. You can break that ma, अमंसत. इंगितज्ञाः पुरः प्रौढ़ा एका रामाश्च सात्वताः सात्वतां ऋषभं सर्वे भूतावासममंसत.
இங்கிதஜ்ஞாः எப்படி சொல்லணும்?
இங்கிதஜ்ஞாः புரு பிரௌಢா.
ஓகே. இங்கிதஜ்ஞாः புரு பிரௌಢா ஏகா ராமஸ்ச சாத்வதாः சாத்வதாம் ரிஷபம் சர்வே பூதாவாசம் மமம் சத. இங்கிதஜ்ஞாः புரு பிரௌಢா ஏகா ராமாஸ்ச சாத்வதாः சாத்வதாம் ரிஷபம் சர்வே பூதாவாசம் மமம் சதः. மமம் சத. ஓகே.
इंगितज्ञा पुरुप्रौढा एका रामश्च सात्वताः सात्वतां वृषभं सर्वे भूतावासममं सत. इंगितज्ञा पुरुप्रौढा एका रामाश्च सात्वताः सात्वतां वृषभं सर्वे भूतावासममं सत.
देवस्य मायया पृष्टा, ये चान्यत् असधाश्रिताः. If you want to break it, that the चान्यत् असधाश्रिताः भ्राम्यते धीर्न तद्वाक्यैः. So the r that is there, we'll break it. Tadvakyaihi visarga comma. Next word will start with the a. Atman yuktatmano harau. One word, that is. Devasya mayaya sprishta ye chanyat asadashritaha bhramyate dhirna tadvakyaihi atman yuktatmano harau.
देवस्य मायया स्पृष्टा ये चान्यत् असत् आश्रिताः भ्राम्यते तेन तद्वाक्यैः आत्मन्युक्तात्मनो हरौ. देवस्य मायया स्पृष्टा ये चान्यत् असत् आश्रिताः भ्राम्यते तेन तद्वाक्यैः आत्मन्युक्तात्मनो हरौ.
देवस्य मायया स्पृष्टा ये चान्यदसदाश्रिताः भ्राम्यते धीर्न तद्वाक्यैः आत्मन्युक्तात्मनो हरौ. देवस्य मायया स्पृष्टा ये चान्यदसदाश्रिताः भ्राम्यते धीर्न तद्वाक्यैः आत्मन्युक्तात्मनो हरौ.
Pradarshaya tapta tapasam, that m, break it, put a im, comma. Avitripta drisham nrinam adhayantaradhadhyastu. That word cannot break it. So adhayantaradhadhyastu, comma. Swabhimbam loka lochanam. Switch this to one time, next 10 minutes. Pradarshaya tapta tapasam avitripta drisham nrinam आधायांतरधाद्यस्तु स्वबिंबं लोकलोचनम्.
प्रदर्श्या तप्ततपसाम् अवितृप्तदृशां नृणाम् आदायान्तरतात्यस्तु स्वबिम्बं लोकलोचनम्.
प्रदिशया तप्ततपसाम् अवितृप्तदृशां नृणाम् आदायान्तरदाद्युस्तु स्वबिम्बं लोकलोचनम्.
And the first line, first word, Sudha.
प्रदर्शया तप्ततपसाम्.
Rajesh, is it Pradarshaya or Pradarshya?
Pradarshya.
Pradarshya, sorry, it's Pradarshya. Not sha, it's a half sha ish only. It's Pradarshya. Ir is coming later. Pradarshya tapta tapasam. Got it.
Tapta tapasam.
Sorry.
Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Yen martya leelaupayikam. So that word you cannot break it, comma. Leelaupayikam swa yoga, put a plus there. Maya balam darshayata grihitam. So that entire line we'll say it together. Bismapanam swasya cha saubagardhehe, comma. Param padam bhushana bhushanangam. Yen martyalilaupayikam swayogamaya balam darshayata grihitam vismapanam swasya cha saubagardhehe param padam bhushana bhushanangam.
यन्मत्यलीलौपैकं स्वयोगमायाबलं दर्शयता गृहीतं विस्मापनं स्वस्य सौभकर्तेः परं पदं भूषणभूषणाङ्गम्.
And the swa yoga, that kind of is a halfway mark. Okay. So yen martya leelo payikam swa yoga maya balam.
Okay.
यन्मर्त्यलीलौपैकं स्वयोगमायाबलं दर्शयता गृहीतं विस्मापनं स्वस्य च सौभगर्देः परं पदं भूषणभूषणाङ्गम्.
Yad dharma sunor bata rajasuye, nirikshya drik swastyayanam trilokah kartsyena. This word has come before. Kartsyena chadyeha gatam vidhatuhu. So the r that is coming later, we're going to break it, put a visarga comma, vidhatuhu. Next word will start with the a. Arvakritau kaushalam ityamanyate. Manyata. Kaushalam ityamanyate.
ராஜேஷ் அர்வாக் ஸ்ருதௌ தானே அது கொடுத்திருக்கு.
Arvakritau.
ஓகே, பெர்ஃபெக்ட்.
यद्धर्मसूनोर्बत राजसूये निरीक्ष्य दृक्स्वस्त्ययनं त्रिलोकः कार्त्स्येन चाद्येह गतं विधातुः अर्वाक्सृतौ कौशलमित्यमन्यत.
यद्धर्मसूनोर्पथराजसूये निरीक्ष्य सत्ययनं त्रिलोकः कार्त्स्येन सात्येह गतं विदातुः अर्वाक्सृतौ कौशलमित्यमन्यत.
And in the first line, drik swastyayanam.
Nirikshaya drik swastyayanam. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
यद्धर्मसूनोर्बत राजसूये निरीक्ष्य स्वस्त्ययनं त्रिलोकः कात्स्येन चाद्येह गतं विदातुः अर्वाक्सृतौ कौशलमित्यमन्यथ.
Rajesh, that second line, first word, could you repeat? Is it karsyena or kasnena?
See, it's K-A-R, then the Kartsnena. So it is in. All of them are the half.
Kasnena.
Kartsnena. But the ir is coming after ka.
Okay, thank you.
Yasyanuraga pluta hasa rasa plus leelavaloka pratilabdha manaha. So that line is together. Vrajastriyo drigbhir anupravritta. You can break it that if you want. Drigbhir anupravritta, plus there. Diyovatastu kila kritya sheshaha. Both of those lines, we say the full line together. Yasyanuraga plutaha sarasa leelavaloka pratilabdhamanaha Vrajastriyo drigbir anupravritta dhiyovatastu kila kritya sheshaha.
I'll try my best.
No problem.
यस्यानुराग प्लुतः सरासलीलावलोक प्रतिलप्तमानाः व्रजस्त्रियो अनुप्रवृत्त दियोवतस्तुः किल कृत्य शेषाः.
Driyovatastuh sound.
दियोवतस्तुः किल कृत्य शेषाः.
There's no pause, sir.
And the first line together, second line together. After the first line, there is a pause.
Oh, that's why I'm saying in between the line.
In between, two lines, we're just saying it together,
यस्यानुरागप्लुतः सरासलीलावलोक प्रतिलब्धमानाः व्रजस्त्रियो दृग्भिरनुप्रवृत्त दियोवतस्तु किल कृत्य शेषाः.
And the pravritta, when it's coming, right, that particular middle point, you just take it a notch lower, then the next line you start like Brajastriyo drigbir anupravritta dhiyovatastu.
Okay, Brajastriyo drigbir anupravritta pravritta diyovatastu kila kritya seshaha.
That's all. Just அந்த இடத்துல கொஞ்சம் you just give a small break for yourself, right? That's all.
Okay.
Let me do one more or two more. Swashanta Rupeshvitarais Swarupaihi. So the ra that is there, Visarga comma, Swarupaihi. Abhyardhyamaneshvanu kampitatma. Again, cannot break that word. So Abhyardhyamaneshvanu kampitatma, one word. Paravaresho mahadamsha yukto, comma, hyajopi jato bhagavan yatagnihi. स्वशान्तरूपेष्वितरैस्वरूपैः अभ्यर्थ्यमानेष्वनुकम्पितात्मा परावरेशो महदंशयुक्तो ह्यजोऽपि जातो भगवान् यताग्निः.
स्वशान्तरूपेषु इतरैः स्वरूपैः अभ्यर्थ्यमानेष्वनुकम्पितात्मा परावरेशो महतं सयुक्तो ह्यजोऽपि जातो भगवान् यदाग्निः.
In the first line, repeat the first half.
स्वरूपैः स्वशान्तरूपेषु अद्वा
அது வந்து ஸ்வசாந்தரூபேஷ்வி ரூபேஷு இத்தரை. You are correct. But அந்த u and e becomes a e. அந்த இடத்துல ரூபேஷ்விதரை ஆயிடும். அது
ரூபேஷிதரை. எப்படி சொல்லணும்? One more time.
Yeah. ஸ்வசாந்த ரூபேஷ்விதரை.
ரூபேஷ்விதரை.
No, B, Victor. ரூபேஷ்விதரை.
Oh, ரூபேஷ்விதரை.
Vitarai, D-I, Vitarai.
Okay.
Okay, but the way you are saying Rupeshu Itarai are two different words, which are the right words. And the Sandhi, it becomes Rupesh Vitarai.
Okay.
Good to that.
स्वशान्तरूपेष्वितरै स्वरूपैः अभ्यद्यमानेष्वनुकम्पितात्मा परावरेशो महदंशयुक्तो ह्यजोऽपि जातो भगवान् यथाग्निः.
Okay, we'll stop here at 15. Hare Namaha, Hare Namaha, Hare Namaha. Gopika Jeevana Smaranam Govinda Govinda. Sadgurunath Maharaj ki jai. Ahe navacha manasendriye va buddhi atmana va prakrute swabhavat. Karomi yatyat sakalam parasmai narayanaayeti samarpayami.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. I'm open for suggestions if anyone has a better way of how to get more people involved in a class. Because right now we have 2 people who are doing reviews and I'm picking 4 people, right? So if anyone has a better suggestion, or you may want to just pair up with some 2 people so that you get to practice regularly. That's another option. Because Ilanaka, your turn may not come that often.
We are following alphabetical order for practicing. So I don't know, probably.
I don't want to make it predeterministic. Then you will know when your turn is. So that I won't do. But I'm just trying to think how to get more people chance in a given class. So any other
every 10 slokam go change பண்ணலாமா?
அப்படி பண்ணலாம். That we can do. Because we typically cover about 35 to 40 stanzas in a class. Today we cover
12 பண்ணலாம். 12.
Rajesh, how about 2 people doing it together? Like a kind of choral chant, 2 people together?
Yeah, like for example, Sudha and Kannan, I can do like Anand Ji, Sindhu Ji are together.
Yeah. And even random should work.
Sudhaவையும் கண்ணனையும் போட்டா கண்ணன் வந்து பர்மனன்ட் டிஏவா தான் இருப்பாரு.
கண்டிப்பா அது சரியா எனக்கு அவங்க டோன் செட்டே ஆகவே